What's up, Silent? Thank you, friend. Whoa!
Oh, hello, Smite fans. Didn't see you there. I am Titan.
Can't imagine that was on purpose.
By Titan Ajax, Titan Pompon, and we're here for the 8.8 Ceaseless Whirlpool update show. That's right, it's Charybdis time. How are y'all two doing today?
They're not echoing anymore. I was like, somebody's echoing hard. Ajax?
Are we good?
I'm muted. Hold on. It's my fault.
Okay.
Okay, I think I got it good.
Starting off the Patch Note show, exactly right.
Hello, Dandy. Thank you for welcoming me onto the show. I'm excited to be here today.
It's Ajax, that is. Doing echo.
Well, we have a very exciting show ahead of us today with so much to cover. So we're going to kind of dive right in. We have obviously the update show. We have 8.7's bonus update part 2, since this has been a 6-week update. We have some skins to go over, a brand new Odyssey event we're releasing, and obviously we have Charybdis, which we're excited to show off. But either way, let's dive right in. We have the 8R7, the update 8.7 week 5 bonus 2. It's just skins this time. There's no balance with this one, right? So this is just, since this is the second update in this really long update we've had.
We've already had a bonus balance. But what about a second bonus balance?
Yeah, exactly. So with week 5, we're bringing in some new skins, starting with some Court of Midnight stuff. So Morgan Le Fay just continues to bring things to the battlefield, and the first of those is Polar Beast Ravana. Let's check that out. Let's see what that looks like.
This one's really cool.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait a while.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to wait a while for the next balance to come through. So I'm sure a lot of icky balls and animosities coming.
And I'm afraid. Oh, yep, I'm afraid.
Darn you, art department!
Punched by a bear.
Darn you, making such cool skins.
Wow, that
they punch hard.
Awesome. Yeah, looking at it, it looks like he would. Plus, ice fangs,
claws
I guess.
Brutal.
Yeah, fangs, claws. Ooh, that looks so good.
That's pretty nifty.
That looks awesome.
Yeah,
I love his I love the tribal tattoos.
I specifically remember a playtest where me and Pon both chose this skin for testing, and I had to play against Pon's Robin, and I got rocked. And so I'm just already deeply ingrained.
You're put on ice
to fear the skin. Yes, I was.
Couldn't blame you. Here, let's see what the voice line sounds like.
Bear witness to my brawn and brawling bravery.
Tell you what?
I get
a bit of an accent while also being a bear. Oh, and we got the pun in there. That's just all of the boxes for a higher skin.
We're checking them all and getting punched by them all, probably. So next up, this one is the one I'm super excited about. We have Confectionery Khepri. Let's see that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there it is.
So this is like the Ymir
skin.
The Ymir
right?
And look at all of the other candy skins are making, they're greeting him, welcoming him into the club.
Yeah.
The appropriate, he's huge. Just the biggest one.
Yeah, very much so. And wow, look at him in game. So what's cool about this is that this is a community concept skin, actually provided to us by Jade Rapid. So thank you so much. This is insanely awesome looking and a part of the Court of Midnight event. Look at the sprinkles.
I love it.
It's never done it for me.
Khepri, one of my most played
something on his left shoulder. What is?
It's like a cake and some cookies and stuff, like a smiley face. Yeah, it's like a.
Is it like a little? It's like a little cute duck that's edible.
Yeah, like made of candy. Let's see what the voice line sounds like.
We're gonna have such a wonderful day filled with sweetness and love.
Yeah, well,
that feels like Khepri.
Yeah, that feels like sweetness and love. I feel
he's just such a wholesome character. He saves your life.
Why would I
That's
ever
all he
get
does.
off crab?
With sweetness and sprinkles and cherries and stuff. But yeah, so these are all part of the Court of Midnight. Those are the 2 skins coming in the Court of Midnight, and there's a whole lot more too. If y'all guys haven't gotten into the Court of Midnight yet, y'all should definitely check it out. There are all kinds of cool things that you can get, all kinds of amazing skins, and so if you haven't gotten into it yet, definitely do. That Poseidon skin is kind of the peak of the skins you can get, but every skin has been amazing. Like, I love Morgan Le Fay's first skin personally, so. But it's a super cool event. Next up,
Midnight.
Yeah, right. Next up, we have the Space Crusader chest. This is another new chest coming with the the week 5 bonus update, and this is coming with the Solar Navigator Sobek skin. Let's look into that.
I'm really excited for this skin. That name though, it's a little painful.
Navigator.
It's so good. I'll have you know, I had to practice not to I keep wanting to say Navigator and miss the pun. So To practice.
This one is amazing, and you can even see that little. There was a little like rocket gator in the background. Those what we use for his ultimate, which kind of swim around him. And this is like a very new, interesting theme. Kind of imagining a whole new like sci-fi, like stylized universe. Not quite cartoony, but you could possibly consider him a rival or ally of that Vulcan skin we did a few months back. But just love the absolute detail on his armor and that face, like that alligator, the way it's sculpted. The art team really went amazing above and beyond on this one. And this is also one of my favorite gods. This is an Ajax skin patch, this bonus patch. Capri and Sobek in one update.
More. Super great. Let's see what he sounds like. Let's hear the voice line.
Soon this entire planet will bow to me.
Okay, so he's a bad guy.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, with how good he looks, though, we'll forgive him for that until he throws me. But so yeah, that's actually the last of the skins. So those are the skins coming with the 8.7 week 5 update that releases August 10th. So keep your eye out for that. There's going to be a ton of cool content. Make sure you
next week we just get skins.
Midnight and check out the Space Crusader chest with the Navigator. So from there, let's get into some community news. A lot of community news. Man, I feel like I could do a whole update show on this. First up, we have a 2x Worshippers weekend coming up this weekend, actually. And it's going to run all the way through Monday. So if y'all have a great weekend and you're like, oh, Monday again, don't worry about it. Just hop on some Smite that night and still earn 2x the Worshippers Monday after the day's over. So that'll be really cool. After that, we also have the Twitch Prime, the Prime Gaming skin you can still claim is Gummy Worm Medusa.
What?
You might have seen her in the.
You're telling me you can get a Smite skin and subscribe to your favorite streamer or this channel? What?
So merch news. Let's talk merch news. First big piece of merch news for those of y'all that might not have seen it on Twitter: the Maxnomic chairs, the cool Smite chairs that I don't own but wish I did, are available in the EU now. Yeah, we've been there. It is right there.
Just
look at how
like
gorgeous that
Ginger.
is. Every time I see it, my wallet gets mad at me.
Value.
But yeah, those are available for purchase.
Does Hindu not have to advertise these instead of
Oh yeah, for the EU version of the
exactly.
I'm looking forward to that piece of content later. Pon, thank you for providing them that free idea.
No free advertising.
So definitely, I hope that you steal it. Wink, wink. But yeah, so make sure you check that out. It's available to you now. I know it's been available to me forever. I still don't have one, and I'm crying about it.
Remember, when you lose to somebody in Smite,
next up, this is
because
really
they've got that chair and you don't.
We have the For Fans by Fans contest coming back.
Do?
That's right. With the launch of the Odyssey, we're actually opening back up the fan art contest. It actually comes up today, and we're taking submissions through September 6th. So, you have a good bit of time, but I wouldn't sit on it for too long, obviously. You want to really get it in there and get your ideas flowing.
And this is where you can submit for merch ideas, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that'll go through For Fans by Fans. And when you submit, the community and Titanforge
do you think they'd use Scylla's base model for her? Because I feel like they did.
The grand prize winner gets a cash prize, the exclusive artist bundle in-game, and you get to create your own in-game avatar. What's better than that? That sounds pretty good.
Deal.
It's a super sweet deal.
100%, yeah.
Plus, I love seeing all the art, so
I mean, I'm not mad at it, but
I'm so excited.
I mean, she's like close to Scylla, so like it makes sense.
Oh, so amazing.
Oh, they literally wrote that they did do that? Oh, okay, there you go.
Smite is a real hole in my wallet.
There you go.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is just a call out to Stranger Things. Shout out, that's the Battle Pass is still going strong. There's still a lot of fun left with that. So hop into the game, get in the Upside Down Arena, grind through some of those Battle Pass levels to unlock all the awesome skins. I know I've been
she's edgy Scylla, exactly,
because of the Hopper PI skin.
It's pretty much Scylla's sister. Yeah,
it's going to continue through September 20th, which seems far away until you realize we're already in August, and this year has gone really fast. So make sure y'all are still checking out that content and really throwing it down in the Upside Down Arena, or up. I guess I'm not sure how the rules work.
Good one.
Awesome. So a lot of good things. And what's next is continuing. It just gets more exciting through the show. We have the calendar event coming, the Bacchanalia calendar event. And that's a big word.
That name sounds familiar.
It does sound a little familiar. It sounds like I'm probably just making this up. But it's Roman themed this time. Bacchanalia is a huge celebration based off of
I don't know what it sounds like. I'm too dumb.
And the way it works is you play one game each day and earn awesome awards. Like what could be better than that? You just play the game and you get cool stuff. Sounds like a good trade to me. And that comes with a ton of community cosmetics. And those are actually community submitted fan art. People submit stuff to us. They did awesome. And that gave us a total of 6 things. 6 community pieces of fan art. We have 2 avatars. One from Bunrear on Instagram.
Put a lot of
that's
effort
the
up into
one,
Susano's nipple
Susano
on
looks
that
properly
particular
grumpy. We have
icon,
the awesome Frostfire
like.
one from Sly Blue from Pixiv, looking super great. I love the the frost and the fire. I guess that kind of sells itself, huh? 2 jump stamps. One from Observant Bunny on Instagram, which is the Arachne one. And I mean, look at Arachne.
The Uller
Just
one's
bursting
pretty
with love
high.
and
That one's
stampy
great.
goodness. Yeah, I love the web
I don't know
art,
why,
too.
but the Uller one, the red-haired Uller one,
we also
gives
have,
me like
I'm gonna say this one wrong, but
young
Cheeseless
Uncle
from
Iroh
Twitter submitted the
vibes
jelly one, and that's
for
from
some
that's from the
reason.
Dysphoria skin. Right?
I don't know why, but it does.
Oh
Little
yeah,
jelly buddy. Yeah,
Looks inspired from that, yeah.
it's super adorable. The face makes me so I'm gonna get killed because I'm gonna stop and be like, oh, look at it. And then finally we have 2 global emotes. One from Ichigimi on Instagram, the spellbound one with the good luck, have fun, and that's just too adorable. I can't not be in love with that. And from Deacon Zarathos on Instagram, we have the Pixel Collie, which looks violent and full of pixely goodness.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what these. I don't know what these are. Are these events that we're earning?
big reward, right?
You know, I think there is. I think I remembered. It's called Bacchanalia because Classic Bacchus is back. That's what it is. Look at him.
Back.
Okay.
He's back.
He
He's
left?
back.
The chonker has returned.
So if you participate throughout the entire calendar event,
play a lot of
you can
Bacchus.
get Classic Bacchus for free. And that's, I mean, what could be better than that? Look at him. He's horribly intimidating, actually. So after the event, if you didn't happen to claim
It's
him, you can still pick
uncanny
him up
how
for
much it
classic,
looks like glasses
classic skin
nowadays.
pricing. He will go on sale.
Uncanny.
But, you know, you can also just
The
participate
bald,
through the
the
entire
all of
event
it.
and have
It's
this all to
crazy.
yourself. And again, who wouldn't want that? Look at him. So yeah, and that about covers it
We
for
did
community
it.
news.
We brought back classic Bacchus.
We did. You'll have to let us know
Much
how
requested
excited you are
feature.
about it. Yeah, have we peaked? I hate to say we've peaked, but it's pretty high up there. So with all of that community news out of the way, it's time to get into some nitty gritty stuff. Let's talk balance. We're into balance now.
Good. Let's do it.
So it looks like the first couple things are actually are these support item buffs or buffs? Let's get into that. Ajax, how about it?
So this balance is a pretty big one because of the extra weeks in this update and because we're not doing that extra round of bonus balance. So there's a lot of nerfs and buffs in this update, and it's a pretty big one because we had a huge update with mid-season, so a lot of changes, a lot of data to be following, a lot of player feedback. The first one we're going into is support items. Now this is reading as War Flag buff, but the actual buff is being applied to War Flag, Sentinel's Gift, and Benevolence. All of those are being reduced in their upgrade price to make sure that those support players can get that upgrade as soon as they can when they level up at level 17. So
that's fine.
It made sense, right, Pon? Like it was already a little earlier to upgrade a support item, so we also wanted to make it a little bit cheaper to upgrade a support item because the support player is doing their duty, giving up their gold to their teammates.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yes. And also, we've been really carefully watching how the mid-seasons really changed the pacing of the map. And so that's also something we want to keep an eye on to make sure that support players, when they're getting to the point where they can upgrade it, they have the right amount of gold to be able to upgrade it with their teammates. That's why it was lower
The pacing of the map right now is real hard for support. It's hard for everybody, particularly supports. So
As somebody that loves playing the support role, I am super excited about that because I can upgrade quicker. So the next thing, looks like Charon's coin is getting a nerf to its magical power and its evolved form. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so this is like the go-to mage staple right now. Provides power, pen, a lot of really good utility stats. There's also a bug fix on the base Charon's coin to affect its HP 5 as well. So it's getting a little bit too much HP 5, so that's kind of paired with the base version here. But yeah, it was just too effective for what it was providing, too cost efficient, and so we're just taking some of the power off to make sure that the other penetration, the other 10% or 20% options can better compete with that, and it doesn't make it the go-to only option that mages can go for.
Cool.
It's still going to be very, very good.
Next up, looks like a Frostbound Hammer
Even
nerf.
with
That hurts my feelings a little bit. Ajax, why are we doing that?
I mean, Frostbound Hammer is a controversial item, we'll say. And there are a few gods that use it really well right now. Overall, this item we're pretty happy with the additional attack speed slow that we've added to it. that really brought the item back in a big way and gave it a new way to be effective. And since it's gotten that, we are now going back and kind of tuning down the movement speed slow. Also, I love this balance note because it kind of reminds players that we actually do have a different movement speed slow for melee versus ranged. So if you're considering trying to use or potentially abuse this item with a ranged character, we've slightly de-incentivized you from that by giving
I gotta
you less
say,
stats.
I haven't
But
seen
overall this
a
item
lot
really
of
strongly performing.
Frostbound
Not something you're seeing
hammers
so much in the
in
pro
my
meta, but one that can be
games.
really, really a
I mean, I'm not going to complain about a Frostbound hammer nerf, but
bases. So a nice little nerf here to
that's
make sure
not
that
the
this
item
item's
I
not
would go
overbearing.
to, at least at first.
Sounds good. Next on the list, we have Jade Emperor's Crown getting a buff. Looks like the physical power reduction. How about that one, Pawn?
Yeah, so this will actually be kind of a string of other support buffs as well. We're looking at some tank items that are underperforming, and you'll see them throughout the patch. But Jade Emperor's Crown was one of them. It brings a unique power reduction aura for enemies, which is really effective, especially when you're fighting like high attack speed, low power builds. But it just wasn't quite efficient enough to really fit into that slot. So we're just bumping up that aura reduction, making it better at its job.
Imagine building high attack speed, making it so you had low power.
So how about the Blackthorn hammer? That's getting a buff as well, I hear.
Another tank item. This one, generally goes to solos more than supports. I would say that we've got a lot of buffs for both. But this item,
4,400,
we had a brief period where it was very meta. After years of trying to talk people into buying it, I'm surprised it took us so long. But people did finally get it, and then we kind of swiftly nerfed it. So we're bringing this back just a little bit more power, a little bit more health, kind of somewhere in between where it was when it was overly meta and before it was not very popular. This item I still think is extremely stat efficient, although people sometimes struggle to find the right slot in their builds to use it. So I think just with these new options, it really starts to be more appealing compared to some of its other competitors.
It's looking pretty appealing to me, man.
Gotta find that niche spot that it fits in and then really like fly with it. That's awesome. So moving on, finally, or away from the tanks, we have the Staff of Mirden, and that increases its passive?
Yes, so the Staff of Mirden came out in 8.7 to many Hebo Bumba's Hammer memes. We nerfed it in PTS. And it was over nerfed, mainly in the fact that we made it the window where you can utilize this uncapped cooldown reduction. A very interesting stat. We made it so that you only had 4 seconds to play with it rather than the previous 7. And so we think that this item definitely deserves to have a bit more play with it. Definitely has more room for experimentation if we extend that duration. So we're bringing it to 6.
The longer that duration gets, the better it is.
We still have a few other reverse that we could do to bring it back to PTS strength, but this is one of the more major nerfs that we had applied to it. So
it'll be good to test with for a little bit.
You're going to have uncapped cooldown reduction for longer, and it's also going to decay slower down to that 40%.
I think it might make it good enough to be a niche item for some low cool, like
so
lower
next up we have a
cooldown
buff for
characters to begin
dominance.
with,
Actually,
so.
that's some basic attack penetration increase. How's that working, Ajax?
This item, now you might initially look at this and be like, what, 15% pen? You can't do that. The thing is, this is basic attack penetration, so it doesn't really factor into your total percent pen cap. So doing a slightly more doesn't really throw off your build. This is just a nice
15%. Ajax, you can't do that.
Build.
We've
been seeing hunters starting to pick up Titan's Bane, which kind of signified to us that dominance was not quite doing its job, because really dominance is intended to be the basic attack focus percent penetration item. But we've done some shifts over the years. We had Atalanta's used to add more percent pen. That's been nerfed. So players were just struggling to find that right level of percent pen in their build. We wanted dominance to be one of those options. So we are going ahead and increasing that in this way.
To be fair,
I think this item is looking very strong right now. I hope we start seeing it show up.
I was picking up Titan's Bane, but I needed it.
It's got a slightly interesting group of stats that for some reason has been a little bit hard to get hunters to fully buy in on it. We're hoping that this will make a difference.
Awesome. Sounds good to me.
It seems so.
Next up, we have the Vampiric Shroud, and it's getting a nerf, actually. We're decreasing some magical power from that.
Yep, we gave it some love, and it became the go-to option. We saw the Pro League especially. They really bought into it the first week of play with it. We saw kind of 50-50, but everyone kind of jumped on the Vampiric Shroud train. We think all this really needs is just a 5 power reduction to make sure that other starters, other mage starters can compete with it, make sure there's room for that kind of play. I think this is still definitely the go-to if you're playing that more bruiser solo lane role. But for mid-mages, you have a bit more play now to go either Sands of Time or Conduit.
It's actually a good way to nerf it because it doesn't affect the Guardian solo so much.
Awesome. Yeah, love that situational stuff. So next up, there's Blood-Soaked Shroud nerf, and that's getting some decreased health proccing. How about that?
That, on the other hand, that does hurt the Guardian.
Yeah, Pon, why don't you go through this one too, since you just talked about Vamp.
So this one's pretty similar too. We buffed it. We changed it from like a lower flat amount to a more percent-based health, which works well with like bruiser or tanky builds. And it was just providing too much efficiency when you went this. You could hit a wave with 2 abilities and get a quarter of your health back, a quarter of your mana back. It's pretty impactful. So we're just taking some of the edge off that. Still going to be really valuable, way more than the previous version of Blood-Soaked Shroud, but not so dominating.
Awesome. Shout out to the Shrouds. Next up, we have the Conduit gem, and it's getting a buff, with a little more magic power. How's that working, Ajax?
We are just in there always tweaking little amounts of these starter items, right? I know these look like small numbers, but they can make a big difference, and we've also tend to see the starter items
Conduit gem
really
in months,
where it's
but
like,
when Conduit gem
we have
gets
one
buffed,
that's really popular, and we nerf it a little bit, and it doesn't just go down a little bit. It's like everyone jumps ship and starts buying this other one. So really, this is part of the Vamp Shroud, Conduit gem, and Sands of Time dance we're doing here, where we're trying to get these in a nice spot where people feel like these are all valuable options, and depending on your god or your play style, one might rise to the top. So along with that, we've already seen a lot of Sands of Time, so that one's kind of remaining, but then we're bringing down Vamp and up Conduit, trying to find that nice level point. I know we're never going to be perfectly 33-33 with these like starter splits, but we like that there's always options, that things are always shifting, and
to be
they
fair,
have big impacts on the meta too.
They'll
so these
be
are really
pretty
balanced
after this change.
Our player feedback and
like,
data, and
they'll
be.
I mean,
always
Conduit gem is really the only one right now that's out of its league. So I mean, they'll be pretty close.
Speaking of maybe this Mannequin Scepter, this is getting a. It seems like there's a lot going on here. Pon, explain.
Yeah, so this is really just for feels changes. The basics of this, how this will work is, at the start, when you're jungling with Mannequin Scepter, you're trying to apply the burn so that they die with the burn on them. But sometimes, like, you can feel like they're burned, but they die and then you don't get any health heal. Well, it's because the burn kind of fades off right at the very tail end. And so this is just adding a little bit extra forgiveness. This isn't extra damage. This isn't an extra tick. It's just there's a smaller window of forgiveness, which will make it feel more intuitive.
I wonder if that will help with the dodgy problem,
where you have, like, lower attack speed. So you have to be very deliberate with your applications.
I wonder if that'll help.
Just a nice quality of life bump for actual early
because of the grace period. Maybe.
Awesome. Gotta love the quality of life bump. Next up is Boomba's Dagger, and it's getting a buff as well. How's that looking, Ajax?
So this one we've been seeing less of, and really the main advantage to buying this item was to be able to buy boots with it. Now you can't do that. So it doesn't really have that main goal. Really what we want Boombas to be is the
Boomba's Dagger
most efficient jungle clear item. We want this one to be the one where you like, I need the most boost to my jungle clear and not that many other stats.
That'll be good for like the Outquangs of the world.
The one. So we're
AFK farmers,
increasing the damage you deal to jungle camps in both the basic attacks and the abilities.
That'll be good.
Now, some people might still be worried about, can I buy Boomba's Dagger if I'm not so stoked about the upgrade? Well, don't you worry. The next balance points that Pon's going to walk us through. Pon, why don't you talk about both of those upgrades for us? We're buffing the Boomba's upgrades as well, and there's some very interesting stuff coming up here.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. We're bumping those.
So kind of hopping into the next point is, we've gotten feedback, especially from top level junglers, where they feel like some of their upgrades, they often actually just sell the starter for another option instead. Erendite, especially with its high power, passive, and some cooldown reduction, is very attractive compared to potentially going for a Bumba's Hammer when you're not really looking for tanky stats. And so we're looking to shift them around to make sure that they feel good to upgrade into, and to also kind of carve out a thing that we didn't really do with these starters, which was
to 20%
CDR. First assassin, you want power, you want penetration.
That's
a lot of those options don't really exist. Mannequin's Hidden Blade does that a little bit, but the Bumba's tree didn't really offer that at all. So first things first, Bumba's Hammer, just getting a partial revert, getting some cooldown back. It's not getting the penetration back. This should be more focused on cooldown, weaving basic attacks, more your bruiser item. But Bumba's Spear
buff
is
duration from 10 seconds
no longer provides any
to
health,
30
but to make up for that, it's getting 10% penetration, it's getting 10 more physical power, it's getting 15 more physical power or magical power, and the buff from the jungle, when you clear target, you get a 10% power buff. You can now actually bring that into extended engagements. You can kill the speed buff and go looking hot. And for a pretty good window of time, you actually get to play with that power buff. So that's much more offensive oriented. Something that if you are looking to burst down your opponent, you're really trying to pick off that carry, you can go towards. Making this, make sure that it's more attractive overall.
Yeah, with all of those words, all the time I saw increased in there, it definitely seems more attractive. So I'm taking notes. I'm making new builds now. Next up, we have Protector of the Jungle. That's also getting a buff, actually. How's that one looking?
This one is a series of reverts from previous nerfs, and what we often like to do is when we see an item fall out of favor, we go back to someplace in between. So that's kind of what we're doing here.
That's
where one thing
Protector's
to note is that
looking
the
really
protection
good
increase
again.
that you get from this item is
Really
staying at
good.
12, but we're giving it a little bit more power,
Yeah.
a little bit percentage power from the passive, as well as the base physical and magical power.
back up on the
Really,
power.
we want to see
on
it
the
compete
percent
with
and
the other
yep.
items, right? And even though Eye of the Jungle is popular right now, still people were selling it for other items. So want these to be able to compete with other tier 3 items, want them to compete with other starters. Bumba Spear might be the new go-to power item, but we know that pros are really onto the Eye right now, and they weren't that stoked about the upgrades, so we are buffing both of those as well.
Awesome, yeah. Let's move forward with a Seer of the Jungle buff.
Jungle's got a lot of options.
Yep, so Seer of the Jungle getting a similar amount of treatment, getting the extra 10 power, 15 magical power, and also getting a longer duration. This is the ward clear one, where if you clear your camp, you can actually go clear wards potentially on Fire Giant. That window at 10 seconds when it initially launched was really, really short. 15, you still have you really felt the pressure to try and go clear. 20 gives you some more flexibility, helps your team come in and relieve pressure so you can actually clear the wards. And again, just getting the extra power. We think this is a very strong potential effect, so we just want to make sure that we temper any buffs with it with that kind of understanding in mind.
Yeah, awesome. Super cool. So next up, we have the Gilded Arrow, getting a buff as well. It looks like a cost decrease and some basic attack power.
Okay.
Yeah, so recently we adjusted the whole arrow tree quite a lot, mostly through the way it earned extra gold, which is really powerful. It took people a little while to figure out, but once they did, they were like, okay, this is OP. So we took that down. That really brought the item out of favor. We don't want to fall into the same trap again by giving it too much gold, but we do want to give it some stats to compensate. So it's going to be a little bit cheaper to buy at the beginning, and it's going to do a little bit more basic attack damage, because I don't know, this starter item is really fun. I think it's really good. It's been one of my favorite ones throughout the year, and it made me sad to see it fall
They'd probably
so
have
out of
to
favor. So hopefully this brings it back. I still think it has more of a specific role and a specific playstyle or specific gods,
probably.
but yeah, because this one's risky when we see it everywhere.
Strong.
I think we would all agree with that. So just a nice little buff here to bring back those arrow mains.
Awesome. So brief pause. I think, Pawn, can we get a shirt reveal? I think we need a shirt reveal. People are wanting.
Oh, yeah. This is it's an astronaut holding up the globe. Just one of the shirts I have. It's like an Into the AM shirt, I think. Yeah, it's really comfy.
Into the AM.
Like
my shirt's Into the AM as well.
My shirt's Hawaiian, even though it's not Friday.
Yeah,
my shirt's
a lot. It's really neat.
Look at how
actually
well
great
it's
shirt.
done.
I mean,
just a regular shirt.
The people wanted to see it. It stands out. It looks
thought we were
good,
bouncing
so
off each other.
Had to cut into for a sec for that.
I wasn't.
So
nobody told me.
War Flag.
Nobody told me.
As well. Looks like some gold reward. How's that working?
Yep. So we just talked about how scary gold reward can be. So don't let 2 gold reward fool you on this one. This item does definitely encourage a very aggressive and different place off from other starter items, but the reward wasn't quite there, and so we think with a little bit extra gold here to incentivize that playstyle, we can see pretty heavy swings of gold off really good engagements, and so hopefully supports will feel like this is a viable option. I know Benevolence has really been dominating that slot, but we're also doing some other adjustments as well to try and make sure the other starters feel viable.
Yeah, starters really are getting all kinds of love this time around. We
There's
also
48
have
of them. There's so many to adjust.
Yeah.
Right? That's like 2 handfuls at least. So next up we have Benevolence. It's getting kind of a shift. What's that looking like, Ajax?
Here we go.
Yeah, really, this is a nerf in the case of people who are using this item in an unintended way, I guess I'd say.
Good.
So we're decreasing the total amount of experience and gold you earn from anything when you have Benevolence. You're just going to earn less. However, that is going to give a little bit more to the ally. We didn't want to make this item a net negative. Like, its whole goal is that it's a net positive.
Yeah. Screw solo laners trying to buy Benevolence
in a solo capacity, not necessarily the solo lane, but people just buying this with no intent to share the resources with their team, just buying this item for the stats and for the gold and experience and for the ability to upgrade it into some very powerful upgrades, which, spoiler alerts, more nerfs coming. So this is going to be a big nerf to people not really playing true support and not staying close to their team.
Got it. Teamwork OP. You just got to stay together. That's all there is to it. So next up,
support ain't never
Animosity
getting level 2 off the
nerf.
first wave anymore.
Looks like some decreased damage proc. Pawn, explain that.
Yes, good.
Yeah, animosity is definitely an interesting talking point. We've seen a few roles in very recent times. We've heard murmurs of this build coming up with animosity where you really just rush at the end to get some really extra damage out. And this item is really meant to be kind of a fun meme. It's meant to turn completely support on its head. When it's viable on other roles and they're rushing this item, we've seen it be potentially a negative experience. We saw it very early on in the season. We just wanted to kind of get ahead of that potential build, taking it down from 4% to 3%.
Good.
Just making it, if you're going to go for it, it's not going to be quite as effective if you're going like a hunter trying to get some extra like chin size type damage. But if you want to play this for the memes, you still can.
Cool. I always love for the memes. I live for that. So next up we have Hide of the Nemean Lion. It is getting a buff, so shout out tanks. What's that buff look like?
Wow, that item still exists.
Oh, here we go. So I know that this will probably create a very long Reddit discussion about this item because we can't really touch it without going there. We don't have any interest in returning to reflect damage. We just aren't planning on doing that.
That's fine.
Whatever we feel about this item.
I don't really like reflect damage in Smite,
we
to be
don't plan
honest,
to return to reflect damage. So
I think that's a good choice.
I think that the pros, Olympians, everyone has been in agreement that reflect damage was not a very fun mechanic and not a good way to counter each other.
It's not a fun mechanic. You should not be punished for landing your abilities in Smite.
We have had this item feel a little underwhelming lately, so we are reverting one of the specific things we did before, which is how easy it was to get the block stacks. Making that a little easier to get, lowering the total protections you need to get those multiple stacks. Remember, if you have more physical protections with this item, you can get more than one block stack. Also just increasing the physical protection again. Block stacks can be really powerful. There's a lot of stuff you can do with them. It's still a very hotly debated, like, are block stacks too easily countered? Are they too hard to counter? I know there's a lot of high variance over it and a lot of discussion over this item, but we feel like just making sure that solos and supports have another physical protection option that feels a little better.
Right now, block stacks are not very good.
Right now, we want them to have that.
Because
and
all
especially
hunters
in the
have
high pen
2.5 attack speed.
Block stack, we know hunters are building very high pen right now. Block stacks can be really good because it negates the whole attack, whereas building just protections only can negate part of that.
No Ajax. They have 2.5 attack.
I do think this passive has a lot of merit and a lot of strength. Whether or not the community ever agrees with me on this one, we'll find out. So hopefully this buff helps, though.
It's also a bit healthier to like build in this scenario too, because Shell doesn't provide block stacks anymore, so you don't have that whole like staggering shells to get block stacks, and this filled the in-between gap.
That will be interesting though. That could be viable.
Block stacks on your own if you're not a character that can do that already. So it's also probably a bit healthier now versus previously.
It could be viable.
Yeah, and as a tank player, I love watching like the first 2 crits just roll right off. So. Feels good.
We'll have to. That'll
all right. So next up, we have the Bulwark of Hope, also getting a buff. Let's get into that.
Nice.
Yeah, this item I don't think has been meta for a very, very, very long time, and that just even though like it has potential, it just never was quite there.
15% of
so we think it's just time for it to
maximum
get
health.
a bit of an update. So one is giving it some more magical protection, making sure its identity is very strong. But 2, also make sure that the shield has a bit more application cases.
You can absolutely get a 600 HP shield out of this.
10 per level.
Absolutely.
Roughly what this means is if you're playing a purely squishy build, you're going to be a little bit weaker off. But if you're building any level of tankiness at all, the shield's actually going to be stronger. And that actually incentivizes you to build into more high health options.
That's a good
with
item.
a very focused protection item like Bulwark of Hope.
Yep.
Yeah.
But also Sunder exists.
So the next one, Stone of Foul buff. I see the word increased 4 times, so let's get into that.
Yeah, this was one we recently reworked and hasn't really caught on, but we want to
nice
give
increased
more
health, nice increased protection, nice magical protection.
This one's now just going to have better protection stats as well as a slightly better passive, which keep in mind that passive does stack and then multiply itself once you get it up to max stack. So you can build a lot of mitigations from this item. This item seems really strong, but people didn't really pick it up at all.
Well,
so we're trying a lot of buffs here to see
strong
where
now.
is it really going to show up. Who can make use of this?
2 to
How is it gonna work
3%
out?
passive increase is a big deal because of the way that it adds together.
I think working in basic attacks into your ability rotation is a really important part of support, and this is an ability that rewards that playstyle. So
yeah, because it just went from 12% mitigations to 18%.
Some of the different supports trying different things. Maybe Sylvanas will enjoy this item.
That's a lot of mitigations.
Ooh, I've been loving Sylvanas recently, so
Athena Reach as well. Can
right. There are there are some really cool applications with this as well. So excited to see this item. I feel like when we launched it, there was a lot of discussion, but we didn't really actually see much usage. So excited to actually see some usage this time around.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, a lot of good room for play. So that does it for the normal items. We have a few relics that have been touched on. The first one is Bracer of Radiance, actually, and it's
they're really not gonna nerf Ikivol, eh?
Game,
oh
but also
man,
to how it looks in game. I hear.
Yep.
Oh.
So Bracer Radiance, both it and its upgrade are gonna get some buffs. But
Unfortunate.
it also got some new artwork. The previous purple kind of voidy feel didn't really match the Radiance feel, so now that's been updated. Looks all nice and pretty and glowy.
So radiant.
Yep.
Right.
And then you also have the increase to the movement speed aura on the base. So the idea here is we've seen Bracer of Radiance actually pick up some play. People have been trying it out, and those that do have actually succeeded pretty well with it. But it's not quite as popular compared to other choices. So we want to make sure that the impact that you feel when you actually utilize this relic in game is there.
Power
so
aura.
the base version is getting the movement speed portion of it upgraded, where the upgrade is going to get both portions, both the movement speed aura and the power aura are going to be stronger. So if you drop this in the middle
you
of
have to keep in mind, remember they changed
your
this.
Team's base of operations is going to be
And it
much
acts
stronger,
as a third ward.
Yeah, it's been a fun item to use for exactly
so you can
what
have
you
out
said,
3 sentries, because there was actually a bug that they decided to keep in the game.
But still super cool to see. And next up is similarly Sundering Spear. Both base and the upgraded version are getting a nerf, it seems.
Oh
yeah, we've heard
Bulwark
a
of
lot
Hope just
about
got
Sunder
even
since
better.
they work in the and the buffs and
Just
changes. We
got
nerfed it
even
a lot
better.
in the PTS, and we are here to nerf it again, just a little bit more, focusing first on the cooldown for the base one, and then the upgrade is also decreasing the damage amplification. So we're liking that we're seeing this item as an option, but it's still a little too overbearing, and it
Sundering
needs to come down
Spear might have just gotten
maybe a bit
nerfed
further,
enough
but we're bringing it
to
down
be
bit
a
by bit, 'cause we don't wanna just put Sunder back
relic
into the
instead of a
dirt
buy
immediately
every time
again after
relic. I think it
finally
is now.
back, years later. I think the current design, as we've worked really hard as a design
Buy
team,
it
is a
against
lot more
teams with a lot of
healthy and less
shields.
frustrating,
Still want it as against a
than
Nike
the
and a
older
Gavin
versions
stuff.
of Sunder, where people were using it to just
But
kill each other with. It's a lot harder to do that now. It's more of a team fight relic. It has a very unique skill shot element to it. Most relics can't be missed, but this one sure can.
Yeah.
So definitely needed a nerf, but we're going to be careful there and keep an eye on it.
Awesome. Well, that does it
Interesting.
for the items. We're getting into the gods now. We're getting into the juicy segment. And the beginning, the first god getting a nerf, you know her, and you love to see her nerfed, I guess. Tiamat. Let's talk about that nerf.
love to see it.
Yeah, so Tiamat saw lots of pro play for a very long time because of her split push capability. And we've done a lot since to really temper that. And since then, she's been definitely highly contested, fairly strong, but the kind of intensity of the feedback that we've gotten on her has been less, but we're still seeing her succeed. We're still seeing her overperform. So we're just looking to hit specifically Consume and Outburst. These are her tank ground stance abilities, so her Chomp Chomp and the knock-up wave that happens. Formerly known as Chomp Chomp.
Chomp Chomp.
Just the amount of damage you
Official
can do while you're
terminology.
in. Yep. When the damage you could do while you're in that ground stance and you're already tankier was just too high, and so we want to make sure that if you're going to be trading your offense for your defense, that feels like you've actually made that transition, and enemies can more fight you directly without worrying about being pretty much instantly deleted. So, lower scaling here, 20% overall on that combo should help make.
That's a big damage nerf.
It is a big damage nerf. Yep.
Well, cool.
All right.
Next up is Raijin, and looks like the scary drummer is getting a nerf.
One of the most picked and played mages in the Pro League, as well as in the ranked queues. Absolutely dominant right now. Taking down just this Raiju tick damage a little bit. Raijin is a very fickle god, as we've buffed and nerfed him. Small amounts of damage can really send him flying in lots of different directions.
A leap
We
is
recently
very
made some
nice.
adjustments to Raiju's
mid
overall
lane
kind of
right
like
now.
effect and its durations and just the
Very
way it works, which I
nice.
think were really smart. But this damage here is still really high, especially when you're hitting with the multi-hits of his ability 1. So we're just bringing this down a little bit, and specifically in the late game, you can notice it's still the same starting value of 14, but it's per tick. I believe this ticks 4 times.
It's a good
but it's going to be
one.
ramping down as you hit rank 5, because Raijin's late game is pretty insane as well. So I think this is the right direction for this god.
Cool. I'll be less afraid of him late game now. Noted. So the next one is everybody's favorite giant silly snake, Jormungunder, and getting a buff. Nothing wrong with that. How's this buff looking, Pon?
Yeah, so Jormungunder getting quite the series of buffs. We've seen him be very performative.
Yeah.
We nerfed him quite heavily, and since then he hasn't really ever come back from those nerfs. We've given him a few buffs here and there, but they haven't really helped him out. So we're just going to take off the Band-Aid, give him some more intense buffs than we have previously, reverting some of the previous adjustments we made when he was a bit more overbearing to but hopefully finding that balance where he's not too frustrating. So general increased basic attack damage all the way up from 10.4 to 11.2. This is a full revert back to his previous breath strength. We also are increasing the base damage per tick on Venomous Haze, so this is the Cloud ability.
This is a
Quite
buff.
often you can't stand in and take the full damage. If you do, it's pretty intense. This will help him mostly in wave control, as well as potentially throwing it on the totem for totem contention. And then finally, Consuming Bellow. We're reverting back the scaling that it used to provide for consuming different Venomous Hazes. So it now, instead of providing 15% scaling bonus damage, is now 30% scaling bonus damage, letting it chunk a bit harder, letting you feel that impact more intensely. As well as we're also extending the duration that you have of the empowered basic attacks.
Jorm is back in town.
Full strength. You can have that for up to 6 seconds. So pretty big buff to him, making sure that we're encouraging his
Jorm is back, baby.
As well as making him chunk with that Consuming Bellow. Should overall round him out and make him a more contentious or a more competitive pick.
Whew, that was a lot.
Yeah,
big boy gets big buffs.
True, I guess so. Make sure to hydrate. All right, so next up we have Bologna. Bologna's getting a buff, looks like to Shield Bash and Scourge. So how's that working, Ajax?
Scourge, decrease cooldown.
Bologna has also surprisingly fallen off and just not come back. There's a couple times where we thought she might show up with some of the new itemization, the new changes to the solo meta, but she hasn't really been able to find her footing. We were looking back at her kit and trying to analyze, what went wrong. And we were noticing these cooldowns are really long for Bologna, likely a result of her absolutely extremely strong launch. But we bringing those down on both Shield Bash and Scourge, more so on Scourge, to help her use her abilities and use those cool weapon transformations more often. Don't see her bringing, as well as just a little bit
those two changes.
Physical power scaling on Shield Bash. I know the 10% scaling on a warrior sometimes feels like a meme, but it really does make a difference. When we make that buff, we are generally being very intentional. That 10% scaling on an ability on a warrior, it makes a difference. It really helps them in solo lane. It really helps their itemization, and I'm looking forward to seeing Bologna back on the battlefield.
Me too. I love Bologna. I love so many of her skins, so it'll be nice to see.
To see more Bologna. Ajax?
Next up
is like accidental dab,
and Ajax, I don't know if you care about.
How did we order it so I don't get to talk about Amaterasu?
You get to go about Amaterasu. You get to go.
Yeah,
it's because I threw you multiple items in the beginning. No, I mean Pond was obviously very well equipped to talk about this change, and honestly, it's a lot of similar messaging as Bologna. One of the things that we're really excited about this buff is increasing Amaterasu's base attack speed. Amaterasu has always been kind of like a hybrid basic attacker. She's not quite Osiris, but she's not quite full ability.
I mean, it's great because we're
pushing her a little bit more towards the basic attack synergy. It works really well with her passive. It helps her build her charge on her mirror. It gives her more itemization options. So we're giving her a little bit more attack speed. That's per level. So you're going to see that add up over the scope of the match.
This could be scary.
Also, just a slight decrease on Glorious Charge.
That
was again an ability that was thought of as pretty strong during her meta phases. But now that she's fallen off a little bit, we feel like this is a safe place. And 18 seconds is just very long, even for an ability like Glorious Charge, which has CC and movement, still very long. So really looking forward to seeing the girl back out there and hopefully getting some picks in the Pro League again.
Well, glad to hear you're excited about it. The shirt shows. So next up, Scotty Buff. What's happening with Scotty in the pub? How's that looking?
Scotty's good.
Yeah, so Scotty, one of the hunters, I think she might be on the list of hunters that actually hasn't seen competitive play yet this season, but a hunter that has high potential but hasn't quite really been there in Season 8, and so we just want to make sure we give some buffs to her to help her better compete. So first up is Rune of the Hunt. Caldier's base attack damage is now going to go from 40% to 80% to 50% to 80%. This means while you're leveling your 1 or your Permafrost, you're going to have a bit more damage from Caldier if you control it well.
The cooldown.
Then also we're lowering the cooldown on Permafrost, her primary CC, in some cases her primary wave clear and poke.
That shouldn't break a Scotty,
if she needs to escape.
But it should make her a little bit nicer.
So a cooldown reduction on Permafrost is quite the big buff for her.
Yeah, I think she's going to be walking tall in the battleground. So next up, and I don't know why he did a Thoth buff. He's already scary and loud. But what are we doing? How's it working?
Oh, okay.
Thoth is a very interesting god because he never really performs very well in most metrics, but he is really scary in the right hands. He's a high skill cap god, and when players play him well, they are rewarded for it. This buff is relatively small, just looking to boost his ability. Like this Glyph of Pain has a very few specific uses. Increased bonus basic attack
of
damage.
all the
notice,
things
by the
they
way.
could
So
have
this isn't
done to
actually
him,
buffing
this is the
Thoth's
only one
ability
that
damage,
will
which is a lot
not
of times what people are
impact
scared
how
of.
good he
We're
is.
giving him this basic attack damage just to round out his lane clear and actually a little bit of his jungle clear.
This is
in
this
Conquest,
is what
Thoth can
you
really
call
struggle to solo clear camps,
look at
especially
this
the side
god
harpies
buff.
or his own red
Exactly.
buff.
Like, hey,
even once he
Thoth
gets some
exists.
items
Remember,
online, this is a way for him to help get a little bit more damage and hopefully not cause him to get, to the point where we are all terrified of him again, because we do not want to be pushing Thoth too hard. So a very light touch here.
To be fair,
mostly
Thoth
quality
doesn't
of
need
life,
any
mostly
pushes.
for some
Thoth is
specific interactions.
very
and
good right
hopefully
now.
Nothing to really
Doesn't need any more.
shake things up too much.
Yeah, I'll be keeping my eye on Scary Bird. So next up, Baba Yaga, quality of life improvement. How is Baba Yaga main lives getting easier?
Yep, Home Sweet Home will now be able to walk over minions. The cabin
Shout
has
outs to
very tall
Reddit.
legs. Yep. They should just be able to walk over the minions, and now she can. So it's there, especially when when you're using the house, it can be hard to even see that minions are there. And so be able to walk over it makes sense. It makes sure the ultimate feels powerful, and also it doesn't. You're not punished for not being able to see past the blocking volume that is the house.
Yeah. That's a big,
cool.
thick house.
I'll make sure to use that to run away and get over that
She's
lane of minions that was blocking me. So next up, we have Susano getting a buff. So Ajax, what's Susano doing better these days?
Amaterasu and Susano getting buffs, man. Tsukiyomi must be jealous. The whole thing, he's getting left out. So Susano, another one that players might have very scary memories, but I assure you, those memories are in the distant past. Susano's stats have been looking pretty low for quite a while now. We know how versatile this god can be, so we are being really careful. Just getting a little bit of base damage on his Wind Siphon and Jetstream, just to help him make those impacts in team fight and to help his jungle clear.
Ajax says, "I promise."
This god is really at the bottom of the list right now, surprisingly
You promised me.
And want to bring him back, but got to be careful with Susano, and we will
can't
always
bring
be
him back.
careful with Susano.
I can't go through this
Definitely
again.
a 0 to 100 kind of god. So next up, Artio getting a buff. How's our bear person looking?
Getting some nice buffs. So energy surge.
Oh wow, we're gonna buff Artio. Yo,
she's
she's hard to deal with in the solo lane.
It's a very low cooldown ability for something that is quite potent, especially the Mon-Fri ability. But also heavy charge is actually getting a charge speed increase. So right now it's increases your movement speed by 75%, and then you charge for it with that movement speed.
That's a big
it's going
buff.
to 100%. It's not quite as intense as you might think because it has DR components.
Dude, she's gonna decimate the solo lane.
Chasing you down a lot faster, and she's gonna be getting her primary damage abilities up more quickly to help her box and be more aggressive in lane, especially when she's supporting.
Wow, Bear Ravana and now faster Artio Bear. That's just a lot to be afraid of in the bear part of Smite. So, yeah, you laugh until she's running at you. Next up, speaking of animals, I guess, we have Kuzimbo, who's a turtle, not a bear, but still scary, getting a buff. What's that looking like?
Watch that Nene, because it's going to be doing more damage here. Increased base damage on the throw, so specifically the actual projectile.
Okay.
Kuzimbo has had quite an interesting
affects his bounces, right?
He can do quite a lot of damage with his sumo
Yo,
slam.
Kuzimbo jungle cleared just got pretty baller
through the wave, but this ability really suffered lately as kind of a ranged poke. So we're getting a little bit of base damage, as well as a little bit of scaling to help it be a better lane clear, a better support ability that you can use in the lane.
Yeah,
Kuzimbo, you really never know what's going to happen with Kuzimbo, honestly. He is a very unpredictable god, but we know that we have seen him at the bottom of the charts and not very popular for a little while now, and we really looked hard to find something that we thought could bring him back up without causing too many problems, and here we are with this Nene Kappa throwing buff.
Yeah, well, like you said, you got to watch that Nene, because he can turn into a horror. You don't see him for 10 games, then he shows up and ruins your whole game. So, but I'm sure he'll be good. I know people who are already excited about that buff. Just sitting here. Finally, last but not least, we have Nija getting a buff. So how's Flaming Spear looks like it's doing better. How about that?
Yeah, so Flaming Spear getting that big cooldown reduction. Generally, you're maxing the 1 and the 3 to make sure you're getting more damage out. And so you're often seeing rank 1 of Flaming Spear. And at 18 seconds with more lower scaling on all of its components, it can feel like a stim that isn't really rewarding the pop. And so 14 seconds is going to feel a lot better, especially when you're going to get that heal more often from it. You're going to be able to box more effectively with it. You're not going to feel so kind of slow on your damage output based off just having this at rank 1. So rounding out Naja, especially her boxing or his boxing capabilities. So big buff there.
Yeah, sounds good. You know what they say? 18 seconds in MOBA seconds is like 45 minutes or something. I don't know the exact math. But
it is a long cooldown.
Very long cooldown.
Well, not anymore. But not as of August 24th, when all of these balances are going to drop. So because that actually covers the balance. We've done it. We've made it through balance. That was a lot.
So we got 3 weeks.
So I know. Make sure to hydrate. So if you missed any of that or want to be able to read it again for yourself, make sure to check those update notes because they're going to be going live. But all of this comes out August 24th. So you'll have some time to prepare, have some time to figure out what you're going to be doing. So next up, we're actually going to talk about something that I hear AJ might be excited about. We're bringing back the Chinese Joust Map. I actually believe, isn't this the map that launched in Season 3?
This is, and I know there is a lot of people who will be very excited for this map. I've been very closely monitoring.
I know a lot of people that didn't
Joust
want the classic Joust anymore.
Funny enough, the classic Joust experiment was pretty successful. We saw quite a nice little boost in gameplay numbers, and those numbers sustained for quite a while, multiple weeks, and never really dropped below what they were before. We got a little boost, and then we came back to average, which is a nice little thing to see what happens when we change up a map. Now, a lot of people were very vocal about disliking lots of elements of that classic Joust map, and I've also heard from a lot of people who were very excited to have that map back. They potentially didn't use Reddit as much as the people who dislike classic Joust.
Potentially.
Either way, we always had planned on rotating through the Joust maps, and I'm really excited to bring us to the phase 2 of this experiment, where the Season 3 Chinese Joust map is going to be returning. It's going to be replacing Classic Joust. It's going to be the default Joust map for both Duel and Joust, for normal, co-op, and ranked matches. So ranked Duel is going to be on this map as well. We're going to keep Classic Joust as well as Jade Corruption Joust available for custom matches. We are also going to be having a set of balance changes, and well, not nearly as many. But
I don't remember old maps. I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea what Season 3 Joust map looks like. I don't know if I ever played it.
Trying to solve, so we made a relatively big gameplay feature change. That's not really the case with Chinese Joust map. You're just going to get changed to the way XP splitting works to increase the amount of XP players get on the map to make it match a little bit more like our modern maps. Outside of that, this map is mostly returning untouched.
I mean, hard to mess with a good thing, right?
Right.
Well, that is awesome. I hope y'all are excited about it. I know I am. It feels like it's been a minute since I've been able to touch into that map.
The one where we did Sean. Okay.
So next up, we have
I think I remember it.
The skins. We have some skins from 8.8, the Ceaseless Whirlpool update. I'm super excited for, so stick around.
Oh, and we'll get into that that's the map that we actually did play Duel. I actually do know the map. Yes, this is actually the map that we did play Duel on, because this is when the guy told me that Conquest players can't keep up with Duel players. And that's why they don't play Duel. So then we played Duel and we got Grandmasters in like 2 days. And that was like, I don't know why I even bothered, but yeah. In fact, this is basically the only map I ever really did play Duel, was because of that guy. I was like, what? This is a good map. This is also the map that we used to fight Alex Jones on. And then he would rage quit, which I can't tell if that was role play or what, but it happened. I like the little sticky note.
How about that sticky note? How about that movie? Season 8, getting that map back. Welcome back, everybody. For those of you just joining, I am Titan Dandy, and we are now getting into the skins releasing in the 8.8 Ceaseless Whirlpool update, dropping August 24th. I'm actually going to be joined here by Bananimation and Brick Brack Paddywhack. Welcome, y'all, too. How are y'all doing?
That's a good name.
Good. Good.
Brick Brack Paddywhack.
Doing great. Awesome. So, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all two are both awesome animators for Smite. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We try.
Awesome. Well, I'm super stoked to have both of y'all here. And are y'all ready to talk about some cool skins?
Yes, let's
Let's
go.
get into it.
Nice,
So
awesome. So the first skin we're getting into actually is with the brand new Sakura chest coming with the 8.8 update, and that's gonna have Sakura Android Neath. And yeah, just look at her. Oh, so pretty.
So beautiful.
A neat
So
skin
beautiful. I love the the Sakuras in the background.
in my Smite
it's
patch.
just, so awesome.
Yes.
Also kind of horrifying.
What?
Ooh, look at
I-
that.
So good. I love the
To be
Izanami
fair,
one
it's
of
a
this.
cool
so I'm
skin.
really
Like,
excited
I
for this.
get it.
I totally agree. I love the kind of like see-through components.
You know how
of
much
the body.
money
You
that
can kinda
skin
see
right there is
beneath
gonna
them.
make? A
It's
lot.
so good
Like, an
looking.
amount that would make you go, wow.
Yes, beautiful.
I should make a neat skin.
Love her.
Absolutely amazing skin. I love the bow too. Let's hear her voice line. Let's hear how she sounds.
Systems online. Threats assessed.
Did she? I think she's the threat. I think we've assessed that she is the threat. So,
I mean, look
well,
at
that's
her. Yeah.
right? How could she not be? So next up, we have the Odyssey Chest coming with the
cool
new
skin.
Odyssey and the 8.8 update,
Camera
and Draconic Devastator Thanatos. Look at him and be scared a little bit, brother.
I thought those were
this
wings.
is, my
Oh, he's in a
nightmare.
coffin.
Yeah,
I thought those were wings.
A dragon. There's like
Guess they are kinda
bone
wings.
Looks kind of like a crypt. A scythe.
He is
but
kind
with
of in a
teeth on it,
coffin,
like
and
his
they're
teeth would be
wings. It's actually
scarier.
both.
Ooh,
That is so
That looks
cool
really
in
good.
game too.
I
Dang.
absolutely love it.
I don't know what it
Guess
is.
I'll
love
learn
how,
to play more assassins.
Right? I know.
Don't
that
think
all
I'm
these
into
skins
it.
come out and force me to play new characters.
I'm
I love
actually
the like
not into
segmented
it.
green between all the bones too. It looks so good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why,
Absolutely
but it
fantastic.
doesn't do it for me.
And the like purple armor. I'm super in love with it.
Huh.
Awesome. Well, let's see what his voice line sounds like. Let's hear him.
I stand for the order.
Looks like he floats for the order too. and
Hey.
probably
Yeah.
We got a
throw
neat
scythes for-
skin. We got
probably
a,
throw scythes
a
for the order
Thanatos
as well.
skin. I mean,
Ooh.
if we hit a Ymir skin, I think we got bingo.
All right. Well, that is super awesome. I'm horrified of seeing him float above me in game. And now we're into the Odyssey event. And the first part of the Odyssey event is Mystic Magus Raw. And
Oh,
no.
it was raw. Ah,
Help.
how can I forget?
check out the ad.
Oh,
Looking so
man.
good. This is
I should've
actually
put down
I have a
Raw.
note. This is
Bingo.
Raw's first human skin.
got a lot of
which is
bingos.
incredible. Like, so you can take him in a look he's never had before into the battleground, and
That's
I
too
love
funny.
like the way his back has that like floating circle. It just looks so good.
Yeah.
I love these lines of skins.
I totally agree.
That
These
skin
lines of
also
skins are
does
great. Let's
nothing
hear what his
for
voice
me.
line sounds like.
I see what is, what was, and what shall be. The portents never lie. If you listen to them, together we shall triumph.
Wow, he sounds calm and sure of himself. That's awesome. So this next skin, one that I've been so excited to see, we have Neat's biggest fan, Zhang Kui.
Yes.
And, look at it. I'm so in love. It's so like there at the event, cosplay ready.
They somehow
killing it
figured
in
out
his
how to
lane,
get
like,
two
so
neat
good.
skins into one
I love
patch.
the people in the background of the Carter.
They said it couldn't be
Yeah, I love
done,
all the peace signs.
but they figured it
I love
out.
it. Plus, what a nice smile. Zhang Kui has such a how photogenic.
Oh man,
Get
he is really.
Oh, this is so good. The only thing that confused me
Getting
about
it.
it is I thought Titan Cupcake was Neat's biggest fan. I've seen how many stars that she has in Smite, but I guess Zhang Kui is even better, even more devoted. But such a
she's
great
got-
looking skin. And actually, I've heard that this skin has a new intro to match Neat's intro. So, obviously, if you're going to cosplay, you got to know the moves. So, and there are a lot of neat sound effects in this as well they're really going to show through. So, let's hear the voice line.
All
What
right.
do you mean? I'm Neath. Do you not recognize me?
Do you not recognize me?
I love that so much. And yeah, I do recognize you because you're really good at cosplaying. So, that is so awesome. The next one is Valhalla Vice Heimdall. And just, check out
Yes.
the style.
Oh, no.
So
Okay.
stylish.
I can dig it. I can dig
Fun fact,
it.
the guy whispering in his ear is actually saying, "You rock." So, just a fun fact for y'all.
They just hired someone just to do that for them.
Yeah, right? I'm thinking about it. I haven't found
I
anybody
can dig
yet,
it.
but
I can
yeah,
dig
look at how
cool
awesome that looks. I love the
Heim.
gilded axe, the way the axe looks. It's just so awesome.
So
That is-
freaking cool.
I agree.
Yeah, I
That's
can
one
dig it.
Dressed hunter
A
right
little
there. Let's
crime, a little money, and a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm into it.
That does seem like a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. He's got the
Yeah.
clean,
And it's a crime
the
that he isn't
clean
here right
aesthetic,
now, 'cause
dude.
I need that suit.
Got
That's
the nice
so awesome.
white
All right,
suit
so the next
on.
one, another one.
Yeah.
Just so many things.
I
I'm
gotta
so
get me a
excited
white
about.
suit
We have
one day.
Malworm Jormungunder.
I got
And
to.
I am just so excited about this. I just
Wow.
part of my job is not just blabbing about everything all the time, and this is one of
Is
them.
that
Super
your
great
skin?
Super excited for it, and actually a community concept from Jay Alejo. I'm terrible at pronouncing things, but it's
Because
again, thank you
Yorm
so
just
much
got
for this
buffed like
concept.
crazy, and I know
everybody's
why.
so excited about it. And, oh man,
Whoa.
oh look at how good that looks, and the
I love
glitching.
like, glitching.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it looks so good. I absolutely love it. The horns are great. All the like fatal error. Oh, that's so good. I'm again every time
yeah.
they release skins, I find
This
a new
skin
name. Usually
already
changes,
it's
like,
already banned
every
in the
time it's an
SPL.
update, so.
It doesn't
my
even
God.
have to make it into a
Oh, super
PTS
great.
for it
That
to be
is- I
banned
love
in
it.
the SPL. dude.
Let's hear what the voice line sounds like.
So many vulnerabilities to choose from. Which should I infect first?
That sounds awesome.
Well, Malworm, you have infected my heart, so don't worry about that.
Your heart.
Right. So next up, kind
That
of
is
an
cool,
opposite.
though.
That's horrifying. Next up, we have a cutie, Kiro Danzaboro, and
Oh my god,
it's-
yes.
yeah, everybody's favorite frog boy.
I've been waiting for this for so long. I love it.
He's a
I
frog.
totally agree. It looks absolutely amazing. I love frogs. Oh, look at him! Oh,
It's so good.
that is so.
I'm gonna feel a little bit bad killing him on the battlefield.
Oh,
Not
I
enough to
love
stop me, but
Let's take
enough
a
to make
listen
me
to the
sad
voice
about
line.
it.
Another journey filled with danger and the unknown. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I would not have it any other way, and thank you. He has so much going on with this, and actually, we're gonna dive into game with Bond to check this one out. So let's check it out.
Oh my gosh.
I love how light on his feet he always looks.
I
So
know.
a super pretty skin. His abilities, some of his abilities involve lily pads. I've heard. Yeah, look at him floating in there. And then,
Ribbit.
oh, so good. They got the coins, and the gun is so pretty. Oh,
Oh, the
the
rocket.
bubbles on the
Oh my
yeah.
God. It's like a fish. Like his gun.
It is like
That's
a
so
fish.
cool.
Yeah, I love how it comes out of a little kite.
Yeah.
Oh,
Beautiful.
So good.
I love it.
I love all the watery sound effects too. It's just what a great skin. That
Guess
armor
I'll
is
play
so
more
cool.
Danza.
He turns into look at all the lily pads and the little flower.
It's pretty good.
That's so cute.
Absolutely amazing. I'm so excited for this one.
Pretty good.
All right, but the next one's what I'm most excited about, and for obvious
Oh,
reasons,
boy.
we have Toon Mania Cthulhu
This is
coming
the
at
tier
ya.
5, right?
Yes. Oh my god.
I'm just
I
I
think this
can't
is this year's
be
tier
excited about
5.
this enough. Cthulhu's T5. There's I
Yep.
mean I could probably do a whole show on him alone. Look
Wow.
his knobby knees. Look at how excited he is.
But
Holy
it's
cow.
Every time. Every time. Let's hear his voice on. Let's see what he has to
That's
say.
wild.
The world, it's mine for the taking!
Well, you can have it. You've earned it. Look at you. So this
Man,
actually
that's
part of
crazy.
this T5 is that he has 4 different characters, 4 unique characters. There's the base, which we just saw. There's the aviator, which we're looking at now, and we're also going to see 2 more as we go on: the sheriff and the greaser. But let's continue hearing these voice lines. So let's hear the voice line here.
Trust me, you don't want to see me go crazy.
The laugh is so good. I think I do want to see him go crazy. Oh,
I
he's
do
the
too.
cowboy. He's a little sheriff.
Yes.
I love how his tentacles are a mustache. I love
It's so
his little
The combination
spurt.
of
Oh,
the
what a
spinning
great skin.
and him
Just,
up-downing is
all right,
really
let's hear
making
voice
me
line 3. I can't.
pretty
let's
car
hear him.
sick.
Let's
I
go.
just want to...
Why settle for less when we can be whoever we choose?
I think he's getting crazier every time. Correct me if I'm
so
wrong.
too.
But... And finally, we have the coolest Cthulhu on the block. We have the greaser. I love the hair. I love the sunglasses. Like, so much style. So many good styles so far with all these different skins. I love them so much. I cannot wait to be all of them. Let's
be the change you want to see in the world. Get it?
Oh, that's so good. So yeah, like I was saying, he has 4 unique characters, and these are based on his abilities. Let's go in game and let's see it a little closer. How about it?
Yes.
Oh, look at him.
Oh my god, that's how he walks.
Look at the walk.
He's got a junky walk, yeah.
He does. He demands attention. If that came walking at me down lane, I'm I'm happy and also intimidated, I guess. So again, there's so many great things to go over, but his abilities are what changed his outfit. So as you use his different abilities, you're going to swap into these different outfits, and you're going to stay that way until you use your next ability.
Wow, that cannon.
I love that. I love the cannon. I love such so much good work went into this. So you see the plane with the dash, he turns into the little aviator character. His 2, he turns into the cannon. So many good things. But one of the cool ones is actually his ult, which y'all haven't seen yet. So
this is
let's see if it gets scary after he finished with his biplane tour of the jungle. Uh-oh. There's another Cthulhu. Look at that. That is so horrifying.
I love the noise.
Yeah, I totally agree. The sound effects are so good. So that's Big Boy Bones. He's kind of based on old animation, kind of like the skeletons from a bunch of old animation from back in the day. Really based on that old cartoon style with the sound effects and the way. What
a great idea!
Super awesome. But there's so much more to this skin than meets the eye. He has a lot of cool animations, which I've already seen, but he also has really cool victory and defeat screens. In death, he actually turns into a skull and crossbones, and he has a little ghost that floats away. So, not that it's good to like die in game, but when it happens, at least you won't be as mad. So yeah, let's see it.
Good.
Boop. And then his little ghost floats. I love it too, the little swervy back and forth. So good.
That walk is actually killing me.
Yeah, I was about to say recall animation is great. And he has a really cool VXG for getting back to lane in style.
Yes.
The VXG is the
let's see how that looks. Oh, there it is.
Oh man.
Got the Cthulhu mobile. Now, there are so many things I love about this, but yeah, that's my favorite. When you back up, he throws his arm back, looks over it's so good.
I think you can honk the horn too.
Look how cool this man is, dude.
When you jump and press space, he honks the horn.
This might be the best tier 5 that they've ever done.
I love it.
Yeah, this is excellent.
So the
in fact, I would say it probably is the best tier 5
they
they've
spent
ever
a
done.
lot of time just talking about the classic 50s cartoons, the sound design, and how incorporating that with this skin would make it feel really good and showcase
the jump is so good.
Now, one of the other notes that I have about this is apparently when you're under the influence of his passive, Insanity, he actually becomes black and white, like an old-fashioned cartoon. So there are so many different parts. There's so many moving parts to this skin, and I think we might be able to have this enemy Cthulhu show it off for us.
Yeah, there's like a little song that happens too. It's really cute.
Yep. So, and look at that. He becomes black and white, just like in the old cartoon. It's so cool. That's just yeah. All the little animated eyes. Like, I hate to say that I want to have that passive on me, but I'm crazy. That's a skill shot.
That's a crazy.
Man, this is so cool. And yeah, this is going to be to get that skin. If you do the buy all in the Odyssey, you're going to have that skin immediately as soon as you hit buy all. So it's definitely. I mean, I know that I'm going to be doing it. It'll hurt and all that, but it's going to be so good. I'm super excited about it. So thank y'all too for hanging out with me.
Yeah,
it's been fun. The skins are super awesome. I'm so excited about it.
Skin.
But I think it's time. I think it's time we get into Charybdis.
Let's go.
Hey, new god time. Let's go.
There once was a girl who lived in the sea. She's born from the depths. She'll never be free. And every fish, each creature and man who laid eyes on her was not seen.
It's time for Scylla 2?
Mother, it's only a story, right?
Right! Right! On the right!
Gods, protect me. And now, your story ends.
Whew.
Scylla 2, Electric
Every
Scylla.
time I watch that, I get chills. I am so excited. Welcome back, Ajax, and welcome, Clumsy. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm really excited. We had some amazing things, the Cthulhu skin, but now it's time for some Charybdis.
Now it's time for some Charybdis. Couldn't have said it better myself. So that's Charybdis. There's so much to talk about. Let's just dive right into it with kind of the lore and the theme. Lay it on me. Let's go.
Clumsy, why don't you give a start on the background, and then let me, I'll talk a little bit more about how Charybdis translates into the Smite universe at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. So Charybdis is the child of Poseidon, and there was a fight back in some time where they were up against Zeus, and because of that fight, they ended up losing. Zeus actually cursed Charybdis to become a gigantic, whirlpool creature that would suck up in the tides, 3 times and a day. And there was lots of stories between the Odysseus and with the Argonauts where they had to choose between sailing in the strait between Scylla or Charybdis. I think if you looked at the Closer Look blog, there's a lot of analogies that came up from that situation. And usually those sailors were kind of doomed either way. If they went too close to Scylla, well, she would get them, and if you get too close to the Whirlpool and Charybdis, well, you're probably going to be doomed for a similar fate there.
So as we're bringing Charybdis into Smite, we're realizing a lot of different decisions need to be made. There's a lot of different ways to work with this character. We really felt like the strongest bit of her mythology was how she's always referred to with Scylla and Charybdis. Right. All of the stories where she's described, they always describe her together. So we wanted to design her in a way that matched Scylla and made them feel like a dynamic duo, that made them feel like fitting together. So Charybdis is a young child, but she actually appears like a young child, is like a daughter of Poseidon, but she's actually hiding her cursed arm underneath her royal cloak that is actually a giant maw with an insatiable appetite or thirst for seawater, who is never satisfied, and he is ready to chomp up some gods on the battleground. So
that's a cool aesthetic design choice, actually.
The maw as that aspect from mythology, that giant-mouthed creature that she's hiding, she's concealing, that is what was swallowing the seawater for years and for centuries. And she was trapped. Obviously, Scylla and Charybdis are often thought about as powerful characters, but they also were kind of like locked away. And now she's freed, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why we see her in the cinematic leave her position underwater, where she's been, swallowing ships, and she's ready to see some action face to face. She's ready to get her hands dirty. She wants to get out there and make her mark on the battleground. Specifically, she's got vengeance towards Zeus, who had cursed her to this fate for so many centuries, right?
Oh yeah, I bet.
And a lot of different thematic elements were all coming together. We liked the idea of, here you see her, this is her idle animations where the maw comes out and she interacts with it in various ways. You'll also see it coming out and interacting in various ways with her abilities, but we thought it made sense to see her be freed by Tiamat, the mother of monsters, and Charybdis, a child maybe no one could love. Except for Tiamat, right? That seems like a perfect fit. Tiamat, who's all of her children are monsters, so Charybdis is not anything shocking to her. The dagger mechanic also came with Charybdis. We were initially thinking hunter. We've always wanted a hunter. We had talked about a lot of different ways to realize this, but we wanted her to have a weapon to help signify that, to help show her battle readiness. And we designed the daggers in a way that is referencing tooth or bone, as if these all of her daggers, you could imagine, are the countless teeth that the maw has shed like a shark over the years. She just sheds teeth and grows new ones, and Charybdis fashioning them into her weapon.
That's creepy.
there's just so much detail and connectivity between her lore and her art and her style and her gameplay, as well as how she fits on the battleground. Like I feel like we could talk about this one topic forever, but
right.
I'm so glad we're seeing her model and her animations right now, and we have to see, of course, her abilities.
Oh yeah.
Let's see
How
what
about
you
we,
can
how about we do that?
do.
Pawn, can you can take it away and show us everything? All right, let's see it
I
all.
don't know her name, so I'm calling her Scylla too. Whoa! Whoa, Bessie! That's a big, thick crit. Whoa, there's a lot of damage in this kit. There's a lot of damage in this kit. There's a lot of damage in this kit.
And then there's also this.
Oh, the ulti resets. Sure does.
There's the Penta. So much to see there that we have to know.
Yeah, so much to break down.
To take you through these one at a time.
Okay.
I agree. Well,
a lot of damage
right
in
into
this
it then.
kit.
How about the passive, Raging Tides?
Yeah, Charybdis' passive is Raging Tides, although I also want to really quickly bring about her basic attack chain, which I know we didn't add into this, but it's pretty important. It's honestly what makes Charybdis really unique too, is that she has a unique basic attack chain where the third firing from Charybdis is actually split into 3 lighter basic attacks. So you can see here, every time she gets to the third one, there's actually even a little audio cue as well as a small animation tell. She fires 3 hits, 3 daggers that are all doing a third of the normal amount of basic attack damage. But they do all proc in-hand effects.
That's
at
so
a reduced damage amount.
Yeah, I was gonna get to. I was gonna put a little ellipsis there. So
Don't
go
them like that, clumsy.
Yeah, right.
If we go into the passive, which is a Raging Tides, we get a little bit of that clarification, where there is the positive effect. Obviously, it is an ability; it's her passive. Where Charybdis actually, just
Attack
like her
speed
father Poseidon, we wanted to have some
increases.
nods, like we talked about in the closer look blog. She gains Tide with her basic attacks, and in this case, she actually gains attack speed as her Tide increases, and her abilities can spend it in different ways. But as we noted, item damage is reduced by 35% on Charybdis to make sure that the procs from her basic attacks aren't too insane. Believe me, at 100%, she was really doing a lot of damage, and it kind of relegated her to only being able to buy chins and Odipo. Well, now, honestly, while an attack speed build is good, and we can talk about that at the end, you can actually go crit and stuff too, and you'll see with the rest of her abilities, it feels pretty strong.
This basic attack hit chain is super awesome. It feels
Yeah, her
really
basic
good to
attack
use. I can't wait
animation is
for
pretty
people to get a test of that in.
Yeah, it looks so
Yeah, we had a lot
rewarding.
of people note that.
The 3 dagger toss is just so fun looking. I'm excited. All right, so how about the first ability? How about we talk about Spike Shot?
Yeah, so Spike Shot is a basic attack stim where Charybdis finally, reveals the maw. It comes out and she gets to fire spikes from it for a short duration. The basic attacks in this, because these are actually dealing basic attack damage, they're slightly wider and they fire slightly faster. So the projectiles are slightly faster as well. They pass through minions, and on hitting any god or wall, they actually splinter in several fragments. Those fragments are bonus damage, and they're not basic attack damage, and they'll deal extra damage to the god hit as well as anyone in the vicinity.
That is super awesome. I can already think of all the different ways that that can be fun to use, like in the jungle, like bank shots and stuff. So,
and Charybdis has a lot of, has a couple different themes going on here. So we have, of course, we're trying to work in using the monster, right? So we have, like we talked about, her daggers being carved from Thoth. This is shooting something more literally, a spike from the monster. But you're also seeing a lot of water mixed in here. So as a Whirlpool novice, we have a lot of aquatic nods. So you're seeing some watery effects along with this. And you're going to see more of that coming up in future abilities. And this ability, allowing it to pierce through minions is a strong effect for lane clearing and something you might be kind of comparing to someone like Rama.
That's a very good lane clear ability.
With the basic attack stim.
Yep. But we do actually recommend, especially with testing, that you probably, the recommended level order is actually the 2, which is coming up next, because if any enemies do want to, just body block it, it's kind of got like the old on her effect, it will stop on the god. And also, to make sure it's not too overpowered, especially with the passive attack speed, it does have minion hit reduction applied that actually goes away as it ranks up. So at level 1,
it's a really new type of balance effect.
60% reduction. Yep.
Interesting.
Now, correct me if I'm seeing this right, but this is a duration-based ability, meaning that you get to fire more spikes the more attack speed you have?
Exactly. That's a really key point, actually, because even with her passive at early games, and that's another reason why we tend not to rank it early, you're not going to be actually doing that much because your attack speed's pretty low. But as you gain items and as you gain more levels, that ability actually becomes way, way stronger, even without any extra points being put into it.
That's
a bit of a one-point wonder,
awesome.
you could say.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Awesome. Well, let's move to the second ability. Let's check out Capsize.
Yeah, absolutely. So Capsize, is a little bit of a unique ability where it starts off as a smaller cone, and the more you channel it, the more it actually gains in width. So that it's more like the cone angle itself is growing. And Charybdis is absorbing water from the area around her before firing it again from that maw. Enemies hit are applied with a really large but rapidly decaying slow and physical protection debuff. And if you channel for longer, obviously you're getting a longer lifetime and a longer potency to that debuff effect, but it does take Tide. So you can see right here, Pawn turned off his energy cheats, so he's actually unable to fire any larger than that radius, that width.
Now, this is symbolic of Charybdis drinking up the water for all the years, right?
Yeah.
So in this ability, the maw hidden under her cloak is drinking in the water and getting ready to then projectile it out at enemies. This is a really good setup ability.
And
you'll
protection
want to use this
reduction.
before you follow up with your basic attacks in many cases. But I would also like to point out that this ability does not hit further than 55 units away. Her basic attacks are the normal 55 unit range. Her 1 is a normal 55 unit range, and the 2 is also a little bit shorter than that. So she doesn't actually have a long-ranged poke ability on a hunter, which is a very interesting playstyle. You kind of have to get very close, or you have to stay right at that 55 range to play Charybdis optimally. And her next ability doesn't really afford her any range either, but it does complement that type of playstyle in a very interesting and powerful way, and of course in a very satisfying way to those players out there who are wishing that you could be just a giant whirlpool. We have something for you ready to go.
To those players that just want to be a whirlpool.
Let's show off Whirlpool form. Let's let them see the monster, the Whirlpool.
So we knew people would want to see a Whirlpool. We knew people would want to see more of the monstrous maw. So we kind of designed this ability to be, really highlight those themes, as well as give you this feeling that you've got similar. You have a similar approach, like AJ was saying, where you are incentivized for going in. So this ability is a toggle ability. You can only toggle it once, however, and it does take Tide in doing so. So it's kind of like a mix between Pele and Jormungunder, where if Charybdis just uses this ability, she's dealing damage to any enemies in the vicinity. But if she actually presses again to spend that Tide, she moves even faster and does more damage in that area, and also does a knock-up effect, which is really integral actually to her gameplay, especially when you're trying to be aggressive.
Yeah, like it's scary because you burn your escape if you use that to engage, but with that speed boost and the knockup, there's so much potential for really getting into your enemy with that.
Now this is a very powerful movement ability and also a very unique one, and one we kind of wanted to try out in Smite for a long time because of its untargetability. Lets her evade a lot of powerful things, lets her get out a lot of trouble. But also doesn't move super fast.
Giant invulnerability frame,
react super quickly. So if your enemies are just prepared and
giant
tracking you really well, they're
invulnerability
prepared to ambush you as soon as you exit it. But it was just too perfect with this kit and the visuals of being a whirlpool and what type of gameplay would fit with the whirlpool. It all worked together so well on design, visuals, and theme. Like, I'm so glad we were able to bring this aspect of the kit to this goddess. I mean, no people were really looking forward to this kind of visual element, and we wanted to make sure we had a way to honor that.
And to note as well, it's a very potent ability in the fact that you can use this to either engage or disengage. It does have a pretty long windup, so she has this entire time where she's animating and diving into the ground, which is about 0.5 seconds. And during that time, you can stun her out of it. You can stop her from using this ability and try and lock her down. You'll definitely notice that it's not the easiest to just freely escape, but if you're given enough ample opportunity, then you definitely can get away from some serious hits.
Did you mention the warm-up time too?
That's what I was just saying. The 0.5 second warm-up time. Yeah.
Because that warm-up time. Sorry, I was still trying to understand if we were talking about the warm-up time or like the exit state. But yeah, that warm-up time is no joke. I've gotten trapped a few times in playtesting, thinking I could get out of things a little too quickly, but the warm-up time, a well-timed
serious dive potential with that.
And same with if you're too deep in, once you do exit out of that form, someone can save their CC for right when you come out and get you that way too.
And while you can go underneath player-made deployables, you cannot go underneath geometry. So that's another big thing. She doesn't have like a leap or a teleport, right? So if you are being ganked and you're in the middle of your lane, you may not be safe just going to your tower.
Oh man.
You might have just preferred having like a leap over into the jungle instead. So sometimes just chasing the Charybdis is actually the simpler approach.
Yeah, but that is super worth noting that, you know, Ymir throws a wall or Odin drops an ult, and if you have that ability up, you can just skulk right out under it.
Yep.
Which is super awesome.
Very evasive.
Yeah, and I agree that it looks super good. If super good means like terrifying and toothy. So, but that's awesome. I'm excited about that. I'm not excited about trying to chase that. But let's get into the ult. Let's check out the Maw Hungers.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to see it again before
let's do it. Let's do it.
There we go.
Oh,
all right. So
brings out the ball.
Just like how Charybdis had, you know, that passive that kind of alluded to her father, Poseidon. We wanted to do something very reminiscent to, you know, her spiritual sister of Scylla. We wanted to have this similar kind of ability where you do a large chunk of damage, but utilizing this awesome creature of hers. And of course, you can see you got the killer reset that Scylla has. So Charybdis has that as well. So what's happening here is, you know, Charybdis is really revealing her true nature, being immune and moving faster as well. And she actually has a rectangle component that you can aim as the player, which will push enemies that are caught in that towards the cone, towards the center of the cone. And in that cone, you're going to be dealing a heavy amount of damage and actually stunning as well, which is a different component than Scylla has. But as a hunter, this ability is actually not the easiest to use. We have found in playtesting and just while designing her that if you're a long-range mage like Scylla, firing something over a wall is pretty easy. This ability you can't fire through walls because of that net component. And if you're not careful, the enemy can just sidestep it or beads or Aegis, and then it just fire back at you. So adding that stun component to utility has been very, very helpful. And sometimes using this ability as an engage rather than like the final hit has actually been more helpful.
It'll be interesting.
Really on whether your
It'll be
team can set up that
interesting.
CC
I actually
beforehand for you or
don't
not.
think that's the strongest part of her kit.
Yeah, well, it's just so impressive to watch because how amazing the monster looks. Oh, and that's cool. You can choose the distance you want. You can literally cast it like the bite right in your face. That's
exactly. So the closer you do fire this ability, the faster it comes out, which is also really important because at the max range distance, it isn't actually the easiest ability to hit. You know, enemies can just kind of.
It really is not. And I know people, you know, there's probably a lot of people out there who think they're masters at Smite, and some of you maybe are, but a lot of you are not. And when the time comes, we will see how this works.
As somebody who was very good at Smite, I think that ability is going to be hard to hit. It's not the strongest part of her kit.
It can be really strong when the enemy team is not really paying attention, or if you catch multiple people with it, especially because of the CC. Like, I remember having just like the experiences Clumsy described, I remember having experiences in playtesting where I tried to use it in a one-on-one scenario, missed or got beads, and the other hunter punished me for it by killing me. And I also remember coming around a corner in a jungle and hitting like three enemies on the team.
The 3 and the 2 seem to be
swinging the whole team fight.
They're really a strong part of her kit.
It's very akin to Scylla, and also it's just very important for us to show her
from like a pure
monster
paper perspective,
truest full-size large form where it's just really impressive and scary. And that's what this ability is really going for thematically.
You know that moment right
I'll
at the end of
gladly get a penta with it, though,
the
for sure.
flying
You
at
know what
you.
I'm saying? I'll gladly do it.
That is the ball coming at you and it's about to bite down.
That's so exciting. And I don't know, I really love that you get to choose the range because, like, that means, you know, if you're engaging on somebody, like, if you did it full range, you push them away. That's so far away, you know, you could ruin an engage.
Yeah, you can absolutely use it as a disengage. Right.
Yeah, like, there's so many ways you can use it. And it's obviously horrifying. So, super duper awesome. Was there anything else that y'all want to see in game?
For me,
we have
pretty much
additional animations, waves, claps, emotes.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Taunts,
recall. We have mastery skins as well.
But yeah, gameplay-wise, I think we covered pretty much everything.
Awesome. Well, then let's check out the mastery colors. Let's look at that. Thank you, Pawn, for driving. Oh, that looks good.
Yeah, that guy is scary.
Yeah, and the guy
in this color, he's scary.
Yeah. Oh, and I love so for those of y'all who might not have noticed, but the eye colors are different. So there's a normal eye color, and then the eye color that matches with the eyes of the Maw. So to kind of show, you know, that half is corrupted or cursed by the Maw. So just another really cool thing that they added. It's so great. I love it.
She's definitely
we
unique,
also have
though.
that gem on her shoulder is swirling like a whirlpool contained within it, and you can see it here in the card
This
art
one's
here.
super cool too.
A nod to her
I love
whirlpool
the different recolors.
history.
Definitely got a unique kit.
So absolutely beautiful. I love the green, like the contrast.
Which is what I
between the
care
orange
about more
hair
than
and the
anything.
green cloak.
As long as
Oh,
the
man.
kit is unique, you can balance it later.
like
you know,
like Ajax was just saying, the gem on the side with
we'll
the
have to see the
whirlpool is
exact
so amazing
numbers
to
of all
look
the
at.
damage
Like
stuff too.
so much.
See how she feels.
Just a lot of
so much
details
to
to bring
with all
the whole
the meta
theme together.
builds and.
Whoa!
Here's
I
her
wonder who that is in
mastery
the
card
background
with her
there.
and Silver.
Yeah. It's so like she wears the gold so well, like that stance. Oh, the teeth are golden.
Yeah, I was just you can't like help but look at those, right? Stare at the golden teeth.
So good. She really is rocking this color. Like she's so regal looking. She wears these colors so.
yeah.
That's
contrast
inky.
there.
This is always one of my favorite masteries. Is this color scheme? It looks great on Charybdis, just like it does on every other god.
Yep.
It really does. The maw looks so
I have Diamond Fafnir, and I still play Legendary Fafnir instead because I just love the Black Dragon. Like,
but I don't know though. Diamond's looking
this
good.
Is default again. This is default.
Oh, this is default. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
No
we
diamond.
Went back to default. They psyched this out for a second, thinking of going in order.
True.
And I did see some players mention that Charybdis' default kind of has a little bit of a mastery color, but I think we've shown that the masteries feel very different from this default. And in the diamond,
That's
you would
awkward.
see the diamond,
That's mad
the maw
awkward.
would be very bright white. His teeth and his skin color would be much more teal and reflective.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure why we made that mistake. We looked like we copy pasted over the wrong video or so, overwrote the wrong one, but we could definitely, those will all be available in PTS for you to take a look at. And just big shout outs to the art team and the tech team and animation team.
Diamond's not ready
This
yet.
is no
It's not ready
easy
yet.
feat. Like doing
Got
the
it.
maw
Got it.
and the girl, it's almost like
We'll
doing
fix it
two
in
gods
post.
at once. It is a huge task for our team to come up with something like this and to make it work. And the amount of scaling it has, the way it can change size, which is just, part of its power is it can change size. That's not uncommon thing for sea creatures to be able to do. Inflate and deflate themselves. That's what the maw can do as well. And just the team working around that, working around the cloak, how they hide away the monster. It's really, really a technical marvel, and the team put a lot of time and effort into making it all look so clean and smooth as the final product.
Yeah, I mean everything down to the sounds too, because I've even been told that the sound, there's so many little like sound effects and bits from actual sea creatures, including even like dolphins and whales. They really they took the sea and like compressed it down and like Charybdis.
I'm so glad you made that mention, Danny, because the audio designers are often the unsung heroes of the video game world. No ability in the game feels good on mute. You need the sound, like animation and effects and design. We do work hard. We are an important aspect, but the sound, that is a super important aspect. And
true.
We know that from dev testing that when you don't have good temp sounds on your abilities during their early phases, people get confused, people get lost, people can't tell what's going on. But
absolutely.
Audio is so important, and they did a fantastic job on this skin or this character and these skins as well.
Yeah, I'm so excited, and all of y'all should be excited too. PTS is going live Friday, so make sure that y'all get in there and try this out. Make sure y'all let us know how you feel about it.
PTS will be up in time.
I'm infinitely excited
for
about
us
seeing
to play on
Charybdis
Friday.
really hit the
So
battleground
I'll stay on
and such a
Isaiah's
wreak
butt.
havoc. We
Be
have
like, Isaiah,
Solo's been doing it forever.
tell us when the
Now,
PTS is
partner in
coming
crime's
up.
here with our
Isaiah.
monster to show us why we should continue to be afraid of stuff from the Mezzanus Strait.
I just love the idea of the DPS on a team, the two core DPS being these little girls that both have this terrifying monster that's going to just deal tons of damage and just
throwing a Poseidon in the jungle as well.
Thinking about both of them just pursuing Zeus just to beat him up for what he did in the past. Like, love that idea. It's really cool to finally see them fighting side by side in the battleground, and especially in your arena and Joust and Clash comps, you can see them fighting together from the very beginning of the game. In Conquest,
It does
they'll have their
legit,
own
it does,
lanes for a
yes.
little while, but when they make those
One
rotations
time,
and gangs
and
to
there
fight
was.
together, it really is a magical experience.
Oh yeah, their
After I'm
ults in
ranked
tandem
10.
are going to be something to watch for, and I'm sure we're going to see some plays come out of that, no doubt. So either way, that's been the update show. It's super awesome. Make sure that y'all look at.
Well, thank you guys for coming out to the stream today. I do appreciate it. On the whole, I mean, the things that were in the patch notes were mostly pretty sweet. I just wish they would have done a little bit of tampering down on some of the meta stuff like Icky-Vol, which is very clearly just going to continue to be the meta. And also they talked about being aware that like the pace of the game is too fast right now, which like obviously the pace of the game is too fast when like games can be over by the 5-minute marker. But they haven't done anything yet to like try to touch on that, whether that be changes to respawn times for players or camps, or how movement speed is handled, or how much farm there is in the game, or how expensive items are. Like they didn't actually touch on anything. They just said like they're aware. So I guess we have to wait until the next patch if they're gonna do anything about that stuff. But thank you guys for coming out to the stream today. I do appreciate it. Big flexes for each and every one of you guys. Thank you for all your love, all your support of the Twitchiest community. Don't forget to get your G Fuel in your cups and your Surfshark VPN running, baby. I will see you all bright and early tomorrow morning. And as always, folks, have a twitching day, y'all.